Hi, Neelay Patel here. I'm the owner, designer, and educator at SilverSilk and more. And it's lunchtime, practically. And I thought, I could sit here and I could have a snack and eat, or I could do some beading. Or actually, I could do both, which is probably what I did. But I haven't hopped on here in a while, and I missed you guys. So if you're out there and wanted to have some light entertainment and some technique for the afternoon, then this is a great time to tune in and see what's going on. So I thought I was working on a necklace design, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I think it'd be a pretty cool idea to construct, and I thought that it would construct well in a few minutes that I have left of my lunch hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pan the camera to my work surface here and show you what's going on. So I have these stunning fluorite beads. They're 8 millimeter round, I believe, from Sam's Bead Shop. Whoops. 10 millimeter, excuse me, rainbow fluorite, smooth round strand, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. I've been hoarding these, as we all tend to do time to time, or a lot of the time, and wanted to use it up. And so I thought it'd be fun to do a design that's kind of inspired by, I guess, a cactus. Got a plan in mind, so you'll have to just live with me here for my project. But I wanted to use a little bit of that along with my seafoam, or no, excuse me, this is the Shoreline Capture Chain, which I'm a huge fan of. It's beautiful, very intricately knitted, and you can kind of see how radiant it looks there. There's a gunmetal ball chain that runs inside of it as the core. So this allows for flexibility and also stability with your design, and you can hang large pendants all the way to delicate fine pendants off this pretty easily. But I'm going to be using this as my necklace rope. And depending on how big I want this necklace to be, I may end up actually needing more, but this was really just a scrap piece that I had and kind of put it against the color of the fluorite, and I was like, boom, that works beautifully. So those two things I have, and then I've got a pair of single-strand end caps. I think I'm going to need four, actually, one for the back and one for the front. So I'm going to have a couple pairs of those. These are special end caps that are custom made for SilverSilk, specifically the capture chain and the pearlesque chain. And you can see that there are grooves inside of this little channel that basically hook onto and grasp the ball chain of the capture or pearlesque chain, which is that little core inside of there. So basically, it just hooks onto those beads, and then you just give it a good press to crimp it. And I'll demonstrate that a little bit later, though, and go more in depth with it. Other than that, I've just got some jump rings. I do have a clasp on hand today. I'm just going to be using one of my lobster claws. My findings, specifically the lobster claws, are all plated the same so that there's consistency across all my findings and metals and finishes. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say about that. Okay, what else have I got? I've got some leather. This came from Leather Cord USA, and it is a distressed brown in 2 millimeter. And I'm going to be making a bunch of these little knots, and I'm going to put them basically between my beads to create that cactus-like texture, I guess, the needles. So when you do this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make several at a time here. I'm going to just make myself an overhand knot and kind of pinch it in pretty tight. And then I'm just going to use some Loctite glue, and I'm just going to give a gentle squeeze and a little bit. I don't want to be too over the top with this. I just want it to be secure down the road. And don't forget, when it does dry, it becomes sort of a clear, glossy type of finish. And I'm trying to minimize that because I like the rustic texture of the brown leather cord as it is. So let's make a few of these because we're going to be ending up using all of them for this project. You can make them different sizes if you want to. I think that just kind of adds to the fun rustic, what am I trying to say? The rustic texture to this. Okay, there we go. We can always cut it short a little bit later if we want to. Oh, Cheryl says this is a perfect way to end this week. For sure. I've missed you guys so much. It's been a little difficult for me to come on here lately. I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff for the Great Bead Extravaganza finished. I'm knitting a whole new set of different types of knitted wires just for fun, for the Great Bead Extravaganza specifically. Most of you, well, probably a lot of you have received the kit already by now, for that event as well. That'll be on my segment. So I need to, for those of us that weren't able to grab the kit that I had earlier, I'm trying to give some other ideas and bonuses to my segment, if you will. Okay, I'm not sure how many I want to make of this. So let's start with 6, and then if I need to make more, I can always make more. But this is such an easy technique, I think, to do. It's just a great way to add a little flair to your design without having to try too hard, which jewelry making should always be fun and easy, I think. And your design should have some sort of a statement to it, right? So, like, it could just be a strand of beads, but what else can it be outside of that? And I know I struggle with the same thing too, because I've got lots of great materials, but I haven't figured out quite the best use out of them because I feel like I spend a lot of money on it. And if I'm going to design something, it's got to be like an extravagant but wearable piece. So I think that this for me is kind of a happy medium. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is that I've got some craft wire. I'm going to be using black. That's about as close as I can get to my findings. You can, of course, veer off and do something else color-wise if you want to. But I feel like the black and the brown are going to go pretty well together. You could use antique brass or the vintage bronze color as well if you wanted to. And this is also in 20 gauge, by the way. I love using their craft wire because it's just super flexible and easy on my fingers. And I can manipulate it however I want to. I'm just going to do a quick little wire wrapped loop here at the end. So I'm just going to bend it at a 90-degree angle, grab my round nose pliers, come in and pinch underneath the armpit there. That's probably not the best term to use. We'll just say under the corner. It's kind of the armpit of the whole thing, because if you think about it, you know. But I'm just going to pinch there. I'm just going to stop talking. I'm going to bring my wire around. And I'm going to lift up and reposition my pliers and kind of go back in to finish out my loop there and get that. It truly, like, now it's a head with an armpit, right? Because it's got the hand sticking out there, the arm, and then like right under there. I don't know. Anyway, we'll call it the stem. I think that's a nicer word, right? Maybe elbow, right? Sylvia says, aloha, Dav. Thanks for joining in today. All right, so I'm going to wrap the rest of my little wire here around and around that stem to get myself a nice little wire wrap loop. Now, I'm only going to do that a couple times because I don't need to go too over the top. And I'm just going to kind of pinch it shut, or pinch the coils together, and then just make sure that my end there isn't sticking out. And then I've got a pretty good little wire wrap loop there. So what I want to do now is probably start stringing on some beads. I could either start with a knot first, because I've got just enough of an opening in my knot to kind of slide it down, and then start adding my beads in. Okay, so that looks kind of fun, so let's go with that. Okay, I'm just going to string another one on. And I like how this is going to just kind of, you may have to position it a little bit, but it'll just kind of float around because it's, you know, on a singular axis there, and it's not really going to be stable and in place. But to me, again, that just kind of adds to the fun factor of this. And because it is leather, it's not going to pinch or poke you while you're wearing it. So it's soft. Kind of almost resembles something of a cactus, right? It's a very abstract feature of it. Okay, And since I'm going with this lighter green color, I think I want to be consistent and maybe move some of these darker colors out of the way, just so I have, again, something that is more intentional. So I'm going to move the purple fluorite out and just work with the lighter green here. And what I want to do is string on enough to make a pretty good looking pendant here, because what I'm thinking is if I can put that there and use my end caps to connect to each side, I'll have like a really cool little bar that I think has this great fun texture on it, and then that's sort of the focal piece of my design. Okay, string another one on. So maybe we do 5. Oops. I think 5 is a great number, actually. And we'll just end with this one. Okay. The glue takes like, I don't know, about an hour or so to dry. So just be careful if you're doing this like on the fly and you don't want to glue your hand to the leather knots there. So I'm going to go ahead and finish with my wire wrap loop again. So I'm just going to pinch at a 90-degree angle, grab it from the corner. Okay, bring it around toward you, and then reposition the pliers so that one is now above your wire and one is inside of the loop that you're about to make. And then just work that wire around. Now, soft flex wire tends to be a bit on the soft side, so it's easy to get that loop around, but you may have to use a different pair of pliers if you're using a thicker wire even, or just a different hardness of wire there. But even so, I'm using a pair of pliers to make the rest of my wire wrap loop part here. And sometimes you just need an extra pair. There we go. Perfect. So I'm going to just trim that out. And I'm going to squeeze in that end, just so it's not sticking out. And I want to make sure that my loops are facing in the same direction here. So whenever you're kind of putting this out toward you and looking at it, just make sure that the loops are facing that same direction for consistency. So that looks really cool. Whoops. Luckily about Loctite, you have to press these things so that the glue comes out, which it's great if you knock this over because your glue's not going to go anywhere. Okay, you know what we can do is if we wanted to extend out this piece, because I don't think I'm going to have quite enough. If I put a bead at the beginning and at the end, actually it'll make a pretty good necklace. So let's cut this in half. I'm being real conservative with my SilverSilk here. I know I don't need to be, but okay. I'm thinking I can use the dark purple that I have there and this other dark purple fluorite that I had in here. And I'm almost wondering if I can just use that as my accent beads on this side. That looks kind of fun. I mean, that's an option, right? And then if you didn't want to do that, it'd just simply be that by itself, which also looks beautiful. For me, I don't know. I might need your all's help to decide here. Lynn says, what a creative design, and I love the colors. Thank you. Dev says you can't unsee it. Armpit. Absolutely. Armpit all the way. Aw, hi friend. It's lovely to see you again today. Always so good to see you guys. Stacy says love the purple, so we're gonna do it. All right, I'm just gonna need a little bit more wire, or actually I've got some out here. Better to use our scraps, right? So I'm just gonna grab it, use my nylon jaw pliers to straighten it out. Okay, and I'm just gonna do some simple loops here, and I'm gonna do them fairly small. So I just grab the tip with my pliers, the tip of the wire, and then I just kind of curve it around the mandrel there, as you can see, of my plier, just to make that loop nice and round. And then I grab just the bottom part of the neck. And because we're using our technical terms today, I'm just breaking the neck. And what that means is that I've just pinched it back a little bit to center it. And now it's pretty much a loop that's ready to go. I learned the breaking the neck thing from another friend, so I'm just appropriating their terms, I guess. Okay. But you got to admit, like, once it gets into your head and you understand what the term means, it's kind of easy to remember it and to continue to practice it with your jewelry making, of course. You can use a pair of chain nose pliers to help out if you don't want to use your round nose pliers. And I'm making sure, again, that my loops are facing the same direction there. So I can do that there, and I can do another one on this side. So again, just using up my little scrap pieces here. Okay. And string that on. And chop that off. Okay, that looks really good. I'm just gonna bend that right back. If sometimes it gets out of shape, you can reinsert it into your pliers and just kind of adjust it and fix it to where it starts to look good again. And then for this one, I do want my little loops to face the same direction. So that's good. We can actually attach this directly to our focal point there on both sides. And then now we can go ahead and crimp. So to crimp these, it's really easy. I'm just going to grab my chain nose pliers. I haven't taken off. Let's see this comment yet. Sorry about that. Stacy says, I like the little pop of color, changes up the solid palette for sure. I agree. A lot of folks are saying some purple. Purple. Kim says purple. Hi, Jessica. Lovely to see your name pop in. Thanks for joining in while we're... This was like unplanned. I don't think even my social media gal, Joan, knows that I'm doing this. But I was like, I just wanted to pop on and see you guys and say some hellos, make some stuff with you during this lunch hour. Okay, I just opened up the end cap with my chain nose pliers just a little bit, like a millimeter or so. It helps to insert the chain in more directly. And then you just simply press down and crimp with your flat nose pliers. These are my wide flat nose pliers that have been dipped in Tool Magic. And that creates this nice rubberized silicone coating over the plier nose so that I won't scar or nick any of my beautiful findings, because I want to make sure that they stay nice and smooth and shiny and polished, of course. When I'm crimping this, I want to make sure that the logo is face up on both sides. That might be a little tricky because this thing is round. So what I do is I just kind of lay it on the ground or on my work surface, make sure that nothing is shifting and moving. You may have to just kind of, flip it around with your finger. But if you're seeing that they're staying in the same direction, then that's a good sign. And then what I do is I just go in and crimp just like that. And I'm going to go and do this other side too. I love this design, and I'm a huge fan of blues and teals personally. I'm guessing most of you guys might be out there too. Blue's an easy color to wear. Okay, there we go. If you have a little bit of wire sticking out from your seam of your finding, just trim it off with some cutters, excuse me. Okay, again, just lay it on the ground, open up your end cap just a little bit, and then insert it in, kind of move that a little bit around. It's not lining up quite perfectly, so I need to move my end cap around just a little bit. Go ahead and readjust it, and then once it does lay flat, that's when you're good to go. Okay, just crimp it down, give it a good tug on both sides, make sure nothing is going to come out. And now you're kind of just ready to attach everything. So let's see. I'm going to open up my simple loop, and I'm going to attach it to my focal piece that I made earlier. Same thing on this side. Okay, I can do the same thing on this side. If you're wanting to extend out the necklace even more, you can put beads on the back side and continue that purple theme kind of up toward the back side of it too. Okay, just need to shove that around real quick. And then I just simply attach it to this. Okay, perfect. I want to make sure that because my loops are facing the same direction, that whenever I lay this how it's going to be worn, according to how it's going to be worn, that the logo is still facing up as such. So go ahead and do that on both sides. And if they're not, see, this one isn't. So whenever you're wearing it, you're going to have two different sides here. That's just a little bit of extra fine detail that I like to go into with some of this stuff. So I'm just going to flip this around real quick. Okay. Perfect. Now it's laying in the right direction. So now all I have to do is just put my clasp on. Or again, if I were to extend this out even more, which I don't think I need to, I can always put more beads up there. Okay. Simply just open up your jump ring using your plier and your finger if it's soft enough. If the finding is not soft enough for your fingers, you can always use two different pliers and just move the plier out toward you while gripping on your finding so that you open up the jump ring correctly, and then just press it back. You may have to use two chain nose pliers for this. The nylon jaw has that nylon piece which slips my finding out. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this. Very easy, I would say. If you're an avid jewelry maker, this should be an easy project for y'all, or give you some sort of inspiration for another type of design, again, that just has more texture and fun to it. So Cheryl says, a clasp? Yes, I had one today. Yay! Dav says, the blues and teals are my favorite. Reminds me of the blue ocean surrounding me. You are so lucky, Dav. I should just come and visit you in Hawaii. That's just how we need to go. Ooh, says, I love the fluorite. Sarah says, purple and green look so good together. I'm loving this cactus design. What a great idea. Kind of looks like barbed wire. It does, doesn't it? I didn't even think about that. Fun. See, if I were to put on the cowboy hat and the barbed wire, I feel like I've got sort of a theme going on there. All right, you guys. I'm glad I could catch up with you for this very short tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll take a quick photo of it, post in the Silkies group, and we'll just continue to keep the magic alive. We've got a new tutorial coming up next week on Tuesday. My friend Jennifer Miller, who's a Silky, is going to be doing a fabulous necklace design with flat mesh, so you won't want to miss it. It'll air at 2 o'clock Central Time, so you might have to do a bit of calculation to see when it airs at your time, and it'll be on Facebook as well as YouTube. Otherwise, I will be on our Silkies group and Instagram, of course. And don't forget to like and subscribe this video over on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. All right. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining in for this impromptu tutorial, and I'll see you again soon.